Hey guys, and welcome to another day of Vlogmas and to the final Year of Miyazaki video. It has been a very long journey, but we are finally here at the end, which means that we are talking about when Marnie was there. Now this one was originally released in 2014 under the Japanese title Omoide no Mani, which literally translated means Marnie of my memories. And I kind of think of this one as the Studio Ghibli babies all coming together to make a film. What I mean by that is it's a lot of people who were working under Miyazaki and Takahata to create their films, and now they came together to make a film of their own. So this was directed by Hiromasa Yonebayashi, who previously had directed Arrietty for Studio Ghibli, and it was written by Hiromasa Yonebayashi and Keiko Niwa, who had worked with Miyazaki on multiple occasions, and by Masashi Ando. This was produced by Yoshiaki Nishimura, who was the producer on Takahata's final film, The Princess Kaguya, and who was kind of brought into Studio Ghibli and taken under the wing of the executive producer, Toshizo Suzuki, when he felt like he needed an extra set of hands. And finally, this was the last film to be animated by the longtime Studio Ghibli animator Makiko Futaki, who had worked on all of Miyazaki's films previously. This was her final film for Studio Ghibli, and sadly she passed away just this year, I believe, at the age of 57. The plot of When Marnie Was There is based on the children's book of the same title by Joan G. Robinson, the only difference being that in the book it is set in Norfolk, I believe in England, and in the film they set it in Sapporo, Japan. The main character of When Marnie Was There is a 12-year-old girl named Anna Sasaki, who is definitely a bit awkward. She's very shy, she likes to keep to herself, and she is very, very artistic. One day at school she comes down with a really bad asthma attack and ends up collapsing, and when she gets home and is seen by a doctor, the doctor recommends that she is sent somewhere with maybe a little bit clearer, cleaner air for her to recover somewhat. So Anna's mother, Yoriko, who we later learn is actually her foster mother, sends Anna off to live with some relatives in the countryside by a marsh, I guess. It's not really a lake, I guess it's more of a marsh. So Anna finds herself living with a rather eclectic couple called the Oiwas. Setsu, the wife, is rather she's a little bit on the large side, and she has an equally big personality. She is a very nurturing, very motherly figure. Then Kiyomasa, her husband, is kind of a strange dude. He is a craftsman of some sort, and he's created this very interesting house for them, and he is obsessed with trying to scare Anna with ghost stories. Now, because she's there to recuperate, Anna's not really going to school or anything, so she goes out every single day to sketch the surrounding wildlife and finds herself getting really drawn to this old mansion that exists across the marsh from the rest of the town, which the local people call the Marsh Mansion. Despite the fact that it's kind of falling into disrepair, Anna is entranced by this mansion, and she can really imagine what it would have been like if people were still living there and taking care of the house. And then one night she comes across what she thinks is a light in the window and meets a mysterious girl named Marnie. And yes, this is a much shorter summary than I normally give for these Year of Miyazaki videos, but because the main draw of this plot is the mystery factor, I don't want to risk giving anything away and spoiling everything, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at that. I feel like we've come this far that I can be brutally honest with you guys, and I would say that while this isn't a bad film by any means, I really, really wish that The Princess Kaguya had been the last film in this project, because then I feel like we could have ended on a really high note. I would say there's nothing really wrong with When Marnie Was There. It just was missing something for me spark-wise. Normally with Studio Ghibli films, there's this kind of moment where you lose all sense of reality and you really get sucked into the story, and I never really, that never really happened here. I think one thing that might be at play here is that a lot of the kind of drama and the tension in this film was centered around preteen angst, and I might just be getting too old for that. I might have aged out. Preteen angst is like way behind me now, and while I'm sure I experienced my fair share of it, I just don't connect with it quite as much as I used to. And yes, I guess you could argue that Miyazaki also uses a lot of preteen angst in his films, but for whatever reason this just didn't work for me, which was really a shame because this is an absolutely beautifully animated film. I thought the animation was really stunning, and it's definitely a departure from a Miyazaki or Takahata film in that the characters feel slightly more like mainstream anime, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of focus on creating really beautiful eyes, and there's a lot of flowing hair, and it just feels a little bit more stereotypically anime, but really beautiful stereotypical anime. I think my favorite thing about the animation for this film was the movement of the natural world. There's a lot of wind, there's a lot of water, and I just thought that was all drawn really, really beautifully. I don't really want to ramble on about this one too much because I didn't really enjoy it all that much. I didn't hate it by any means. I think this is a great film, and maybe if you haven't watched every single Studio Ghibli film in a row like I have, you would appreciate this more, but it just felt kind of like a letdown after Princess Kaguya. I think maybe that was the big problem. And as much as I personally didn't connect really with the preteen angst stuff, I do think the film handled it very well. It really looked at some of the different mental health issues, I think, facing preteens, whether that's feeling like the odd man out, loneliness, depression, like identity struggles. I thought that was handled very well. I just, for whatever reason, wasn't very compelled by it personally. So while I hate to end Year of Miyazaki on such a low note, unfortunately this was just not the film for me. I do think there are people out there that this will appeal to, particularly maybe young teen girls or preteen girls, but maybe I've just aged out at this point, and maybe I'm Studio Ghibli'd out. So I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has watched a Year of Miyazaki video this year, and especially to those of you who have interacted with me in the comments. I've not only had a really great time watching all these fantastic films and really seeing the evolution of Miyazaki and Takahata, but I've really enjoyed interacting with you guys. There's a lot of you who are really passionate about Studio Ghibli out there, and it makes me really happy to have intense discussions with you guys and to point out themes and animation traits. And yeah, I've just been having a great time, and I'm gonna be really sad not to do any more of these videos in the future. But otherwise, that's it. I guess this is the end of Year of Miyazaki. So I will link the complete playlist for you guys if you would like to catch up on this series. I have every single Studio Ghibli film, as well as a discussion of the documentary A Kingdom of Dreams and Madness. And now I'm finally wrapping it up. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this series. I hope you are looking forward to the last few days of Vlogmas, and I will see you next time. Bye.